welcome to the Ether Diver week 13 patch of the week of our patch a week challenge. This week's patch, we've added the O coast to the setup, and really, we've added it as part of this whole instrument that some people call the Make Noise Easel, or the Dark Easel, if you want to be theatrical, which I frequently do. So these three together integrate very nicely. My plan all along had been to buy the set. That's what when I bought the O control, I had intended to use it with the modular as well, but the intention all along was to eventually get the Strega and the O coast, and now I have. And so this is our first patch with the Make Noise Easel. I spent some time, you heard it in the intro, and you'll hear some more in the outro. Real quick, we'll just go over the patch. If you're not familiar with the O coast, it's a single voice semi-modular synthesizer, a little more traditional than the Strega is, but not necessarily as traditional as you might think. On this one, we have a oscillator into a wave folder, into a low-pass gate with two different controls, one function generator, and an ADSR style envelope to control those. We also have a random source, a little bit of mixing, offset, that kind of stuff, some utility stuff, some MIDI control over here. This is the utility stuff. You see this there's the random. Got a clock input and output, some MIDI conversion stuff. Here's our oscillator, wave folder. The slope is the function generator, and the contour is the ADSR, and the balance, or the dynamics rather, that's the low pass gate. Okay. Yep. And now on to our patch. I'm not going to do just a O control or O coast patch, at least not this week. I may at some point when the desire strikes me, because I think honestly, two reasons. One, I did purchase this with the intention that it was part of a larger system, this so-called Make Noise Easel. And two, honestly, I think that it just didn't interest me enough to really do a cool patch. I think that there's so many cool O coast patches out there that if you want to see what the O coast can do alone, just do a quick YouTube or Google search and you'll find a lot of really cool stuff. I didn't want to half-ass it. I would rather do a easel patch that I actually was interested in than some sort of half-assed O coast alone patch just to prove a point or do the logical thing. Okay, anyway, here's our patch. Let's start with the control. O control. Okay, here we go. We have the O control is providing clock. That's what this white control is. White cable is. It is providing pitch information. That's what the pink cable is. And two different gates. So the O control has this dynamic gate and also the dynamic envelope. They're both triggered the same way. One just has an envelope output, one has a gate output. So in other words, the envelope output has a decay, and the gate output just opens and then closes. And the way I've got this set up is the gate output, follow the green, goes in here to the gate input on the O coast, and that is providing, it's gating the ADSR on and off, which then controls the dynamics output. It's not actually going right now because I don't have the clock going. Then the yellow goes into Strega here. Right now I've got the activation, the VCA closed, because this patch is not running right now. But in operation, you open that VCA to get this droning. The Strega will drone when you open this. And then, as you can see here, I've got this set to negative. The attenuverter rather, is set to turn the voltage negative. So when it gets an envelope, it actually closes the drone down. So in effect, when the gate goes high, it triggers this and shuts this down. So this kind of drones until this is triggered, and then it shuts down, except it doesn't shut down immediately because it's not a gate, it's an envelope. And so you get some interaction between the two tones. This is something I came up with. I'm certain that there are other ways to do it. There's not even any question about it. I can think of like half a dozen other ways to do it. Hell, I experimented with half a dozen other ways to do it. But this is what I came up with. This is the first patch of this unit that that I really liked, that I really was like, oh, there's some real potential here. And I think you can hear some of that even if it's not quite to your taste, you can hear that there's some interesting things going on in that intro. And then again, in the outro, we'll do another 30 or 40 seconds of it. Yeah, this is the first patch. And so that was this sort of gating arrangement where when the gate goes high, one goes on and one goes off was what I ended up with. So they don't always control the same way. There's lots of other ways to do it. I could have made a much slower attack on this, and so this comes on instantly, but this takes a while, etc., etc. Anyway, we're not going to go into what I could have done. That's for the future. We're going to do more patches. So, yep. So that's what the gates are doing. Pitch goes in here, and then is distributed to both, and they're tuned. I'm not really very classically trained. I can't tell you what the interval they're tuned to is. I tuned them to a pleasing by ear interval, is what I did. Neither of them are tuned to any sort of scale or anything either. This is all hand tuned. So the pitch this is not in any sort of scale or anything, or if it is, it's purely coincidental that I just hit upon it by ear. I did not be like, oh, we'll put this in C minor and then tune everything. No, that's not what happened. I just used my ear balls to hear it and decide whether or not it sounded good. So these get the same pitch, in other words, and then the interval between them determines what the pitch relationship is. Now on the Strega, this little knob right here, boop boop, will introduce some randomness, and you can see it's partially open. Introduces some randomness. That's what this symbol is. From the filter delay circuit, goes into the tonic there. So you do get some randomness. So it's not always the same pitch relationship between these two. And at different times while I'm playing, I will actually open this up more or less and use this destination plate to get some more pitch variation. Next control. That's it for the O control. The other controls come from the function generators and whatnot. So, speaking of which, I've got the output of the slope here. Now the slope is controlling the overtones on the O coast. That's a normal thing. That's what it does. See the little arrow there? And that's doing that. I've got it turned up a little, not a lot, so it's adding some overtones. But I also have that controlling the blend. And right now I've got the blend that's turned all the way down, but when I was playing this, in our example, it was actually turned all the way up, or mostly all the way up. This is that was from the outro. It ended up over there. As always, this is a playable patch, so the knob settings that you're seeing are not necessarily the knob settings. They're where they ended up after I played this patch the last time. Okay. So that slope is controlling. That doesn't go anywhere. It just controls the overtones here and the blend, meaning the overall blend between the Strega's oscillator and its delay output. And since the O coast output gets mixed into the external input, it's also, the blend is over on the left side there. The O coast is on the left side of that blend knob. So that cycles back and forth at a pretty slow rate. You can see this cycling here. There it goes. Nice and slow. Opens the blend. Gives more overtones, etc., etc. I don't know if you've noticed here, but I actually managed to color coordinate this patch. As long as you count the different shades of green is different. Let's see. The other thing. Okay, so yeah, so output there. Then the other thing that's going on here is the random output goes into the absorb, which I've got turned all the way up. So we get different levels of absorption in each clock pulse. It's fun. And then the tones here are modulated by the agitator, its function generator on the Strega. That goes in there. And then that's it. And this patch it's a playable patch. You play it by laying fingers on the various touch plates. You play it by playing the touch plates here, moving the knobs. You got to be careful moving the pitch knobs because you can end up with some wonky pitches. But the other knobs you can move freely. And that's it. That's the patch. I'll give you another 30 seconds to a minute on the outro to hear it. And that's it. I'll see you in a week. Bye.